Kindness. Kindness is really all we have. And kindness really is all we'll leave behind. So that was the perfect song for me today. We've been speaking this month about nature, everyday wonder and nature as an aspect. The first week we spoke about, or I spoke about, Earth, Mother Earth. And last week I spoke about the aspect of water and the respect and value for water. Now, I'm curious, did anyone this past week do anything like figure out ways to save water in a different way besides myself? Thank you. Thank you. I was so proud of myself because I'm running the faucet and I'm realizing this bowl can hold water and it's not really dirty, and I can let the water cool down and I can water my house plants with it. I was so excited with myself. It's like, oh, I thought like I was a child and I should get gold stars for that. But it was a small thing. And then I did it again and watered this my little lemon tree outside, and it was like, you could do this. And I always feel guilty when I run the water for lengths of time to get hot water, or running it excessively. So I paid attention this week, and I'm grateful as I see the head nods and the hand waves that you also found ways to just be mindful. It's just taking a little time to be mindful. And our whole concept in this teaching is a world that works for everyone. And when I say everyone, that means all God's creatures. So my talk title is The Furry, the Fuzzy, the Slimy, the Scaly, and everyone else. Okay? Because we don't think of those creatures, we think it's all about us all the time. And so I think it's important to embrace all of life, including the furries, the fuzzies, and the tiny creatures. Anyone in here have pets? Okay, so I'm going to be speaking to you. Everyone else, you can listen in, and I'm sure bits of it will resonate. Some of us that have pets, we have our own little world, and everything revolves around our pet. And I had a pet who passed, but my entire universe revolved around my pet. And I was good with that, okay? People laughed at me because I had to stop and go home and take care of her first before I could go to the next thing. Or, I have to do a car ride at the end of the day because she likes to go for car rides. And I can't do it when it's hot and run into the market because I can't leave her in the car. So I was of this ilk that's a separate little ilk unless you have pets. And people would say to me, it's a dog. Oh, no, you didn't say that to me. No, that is my child. That is my child. You might think it shows up in doggy form. And so I say that so that as I speak, I want you to know I'm speaking about all of the creatures. And I know that last week I went on and on about this aspect of social activism with water. And you know what I'm going to do this week? Yeah, I'm going to talk about it also with animals. Why? Because we need to pay attention and have greater respect for our animal creatures. There's that part of us that believes that we are the only ones. Our ego requires that we feel that we are like the most powerful, poignant, only intelligent creatures of the universe. Well, for those of you that don't have pets, you probably still do think that. For those of you that have pets, you understand the gifts and the education they continue to share with us if we're willing to pay attention. We study animals' behavior, or all creatures' behavior, and if we really pay attention, they have their own way of communicating and showing their consciousness with us if we're willing to pay attention. And if we think about it, animals also share the same values of common sense and social structures in many ways as humans. But then we'd have to give them credit, which would interfere with our feeling of superiority, and we don't like that so much. I brought a stuffed animal, and I'm going to share a little story with you. And I brought this for you because, I like show and tell. And I don't want you to feel as though I've gone completely over the edge, and some of you will think that anyway. That's okay. You're still getting to know me, and I'm still getting to know you. So this is Tranquility. I had a little girl for 15 years who I needed to release because she told me it was time. And that was 5 years ago. And I grieved terribly. And again, the dog. Oh, she was my best friend. She got me. She was the one that took care of me. While I was studying Ernest Holmes' classes, she was ingesting those books by teething on them. When I went through all my classes for practitioner training, I was given a ceremony stole. I visualized her up in the pulpit putting that stole on me. She was a little one, so she couldn't quite reach. But I visualized it because it was that important to me. Well, I kept wanting another dog. And 3.5 years go by, and I honestly believe I'm ready emotionally for this dog. We talk about prayer. Well, I had been praying for another dog, and I started looking at the different shelters for another dog. And I didn't give a lot of thought to the things that are important. And I bring this up because we talk about prayer. We talk about the value and the importance of setting your intention for the prayer, and then being very clear of what you want to attract, but also knowing Great Spirit, Source Energy, God, always has a plan. And sometimes it's not within our scope, but it's a better plan. So I find this little dog, and coincidentally, she has the same exact name as my other little dog. So I thought it was a sign, right? Oh my gosh, it's a sign from God, okay. And I get this little dog, and she's a Chihuahua Dachshund mix. She looked very much like this one's body type, except blonde. She was precious. She was about 1 year old. She was just amazing. But I didn't give the thought to certain breeds have a higher energy field than others. And I'm a lot older than when I had my other dog. So my energy field isn't the same to have a young dog that's just nonstop going. And you know how some dogs have what they call the spinnies and the zoomies, and they're flying all over the place? Well, it's cute to watch, but when that's their energy all day, it's like, oh my gosh. So I kept really trying to be with this little girl and take her for constant walks. And at the time we had a cat, and there was zoomies together, and they were trying to be friends, and it got very chaotic because I think the cat was stressed by the dog's energy. So the cat started hiding and having behavioral issues. The dog, I think, was stressed by the cat constantly wanting to bap it and bite it. So I think the dog was stressed and wound up chewing excessively, no matter what I did to comfort the dog. I had the dog for just about 3 months, and I'm really trying to take care of this dog. And inside, I'm asking for guidance because I'm thinking, maybe this was not the right dog for me. Maybe I'm not going to be able to take care of this dog because it requires perhaps maybe another playmate, maybe in a backyard that it could run and have children chase it. Maybe it needs other things than what I'm offering it. And that might seem selfish, and that also might seem terrible that you would get a little dog and then think about returning it or rehoming it. But I'm going to talk about the need to be kind and respectful to creatures of all kinds, because we're not respectful of animals on many levels. So after prayer, Spirit said, you were meant to be a really good foster mommy to this dog, and this is not your perfect dog. And I held her and I kissed her and I told her that she was amazing and fabulous and that she deserved a lot more than I could provide for her. And I wasn't her perfect mommy. And I brought her back and I cried bitterly. I felt shame and embarrassment that I did that. And at the same time, I knew she deserved much better and much more than I could provide for her. And so I prayed that she would be rehomed in a perfect family with the right balance for her that would support her in having a long, joyful life, because that's what she deserved. And I handed the guy back all of the things that I had got for her. I was in Colorado. She had her little snow coat. I mean, all the things, and I'm just like sitting in my car crying, but I knew I needed to do it. And I felt so sad, and it was close to Valentine's Day. Yes, this is a little coat that I had for her, because I'm a diva and so was she. And I said, honey, you can't have another dog. You're not ready. You're not ready for that commitment. You thought you were. You're still grieving. So I went and I bought myself a stuffed animal. I said, this is the dog you get to have until you're ready. Okay, you can hold the dog, you can be with the dog, and love the dog until you're ready for that next big step. And what I loved about the dog, besides the fact that she looked a lot like it, is it said, I love you. Well, for those of us that have pets, we understand that they give so much unconditional love. And they give us so much nurturing and kindness and care, far beyond what we often can give ourselves or others. They teach us. So this is Tranquility. I keep her with me. I hold her. I hug her and remind myself, now I'm getting closer to wanting my new fur baby. Last week when I was at the concerts watching Elvis, I saw quite a few people with what I call pocket pooches. I'm a pocket pooch kind of gal. The small little ones, and every part of my soul was wanting to go up to them like a little child and grab the dog, which of course I would not do. I just looked at them and I actually asked the parent, may I just look at your dog? So they wouldn't, think I was going to try to go up and do anything, because you don't do that to animals that you don't know. You don't do that. And I saw one little dog that was exactly what I wanted. And then I said, but God has a plan, so you get out of the way. As long as I'm mindful this time around, my prayer is that at the end of September, I am attracting that dog. Now, it might be somebody that has no longer able to care for their dog. They've either passed away or they're just not physically able to due to health. And they need to rehome it and want it to go to some loving home. Or it's a younger dog, but I want it to be a small dog, because the dog will go everywhere with me, and you'll all get to meet them when they show up, because they'll be hanging out here with me also. And you'll get to roll your eyes and think, it's a dog. Are you serious? The dog's in the car, the dog's with you here, the dog's yes. That is how that's going to work for me. Because you know what? Dogs act as emotional support animals. And I'm not saying other animals don't either. All animals do. And it's okay to say that sometimes we need to have that. That furry, fuzzy, or slimy, or slithery, or scaly, because it feeds us. So if you have an iguana or a snake, or some animal that I don't really resonate with, but you do, that is fantastic. And I bet that you have this deep connection and communication with your baby. And I say that because many of us talk to our sweethearts, and we have these long conversations with them, and they look at us. And I certainly believe that on some level, on a primal level, they get it. They don't have to understand English or any other language you might speak. They just understand love, kindness, and energy, and they give that back. So I want to speak a little bit about our understanding. I've been speaking about the fact that we and the way that we behave towards all elements in the world is how we view our relationship with God. And if we don't have respect and kindness and understanding for elements that help sustain us, then it's also saying we don't feel worthy of having that type of relationship with God, source energy, spirit, whatever you choose to call it. So here's an interesting little snippet. Because we continue to believe we are superior to everything, we will continue to experience racism, biases, discrimination amongst ourselves with other people, because our need for this territorial way of being includes overpowering and dominating other people. So I want you to just sit with that for a moment, because you think animals and that. We're as good as how we behave. We're as good as how we behave. And if we are not behaving in a manner that is respectful to all creatures, including our brothers and sisters that look a little different than us, we're not quite making the mark. We need to work a little bit harder. So I want to talk a little bit about things like hunting. You know, about 100,000 years ago, we hunted for survival. Made sense, we needed to eat. We hunted for survival. And animal kingdoms do the same thing. They all hunt for survival. They need to eat. But there's a difference between hunting for survival and hunting for the joy of what I call sport. Now, for those of you hunters, I'm not dogging on you. I'm not trying to put you down. If you hunt for meat to eat, fabulous. I'm plant-based. I don't resonate. But that is your choice. If you hunt for the sheer joy of the kill, it hurts my heart deeply that you would find joy in that. Do we need these forms of entertainment, like having animals in the zoo that we can go watch that are they're not treated well? Now, yes, they're fed, but they're not treated well because they're taken out of their social systems. Animals, in most cases, are social creatures. They interact with one another. They play together. They hunt together. They take care of one another. When you put them in a cage with maybe one other animal like it and expect it to live a full, prosperous, joyous life so that we can watch them, it's not really supporting their well-being. And then there's this thing that bothers me about dog fights and cockfights. Do we honestly need to watch and judge that the winner's the one that's either still alive or the least maimed for entertainment? This is what is existing in the world. And it bothers me that we, supposedly in our superior sense of being, evolved so much that we require this for forms of entertainment. So I ask you just to reflect a little, and that's why I had to bring it up. I know it's disturbing, but I just want you to think a little bit about, do you need these things to fill yourself with joy? Could you possibly find other ways to fill yourself with joy besides creating harm to animals? I was also thinking about the animals that are in aquariums. Whales, dolphins, which happen to be the most intelligent of the mammal species. We contain them in these large aquariums for our viewing delight. And do you know that they actually travel in family packs up to a year together? They play with one another, they hunt for their food together, and often travel as far as 100 miles a day. So we want to keep them in a little aquarium so we can look at them and see how pretty they are. I don't know about you, but these are things that disturb me. And so I have to speak about them because in a world that works for everyone, that's not working for me. And then I'm going to bring up one little point again, just in case I haven't irritated you enough. This testing with animals. Do we need to test for animals for our cosmetics, ladies? Do we need to test for medical supplies but harm animals? There must be a way to do this and get research without harming them, killing them. So I just want you to be mindful of things because sometimes we fall asleep and because again we think that we're superior to every possible creature out there in the world. It doesn't matter. We don't care. So how's that being godly, if you will, to our other creatures that we share space with? I had the opportunity to, when I was living in Colorado, go to a wildlife sanctuary outside of Denver. This is a sanctuary that has rescued animals from circus acts where animals were chained in the heat for sideshow, roadshow, little circus acts, or other larger circus acts, or just different ways of displaying animals that tormented them. When we ask animals to do these kinds of stunts and skits and things that are not part of their natural way of showing up in the world, that is harmful to their beingness. And I bring it up just because we don't think about it as though it's harming the animals. It's like, so what? We're going to do it anyway because it entertains us. And so I want you to just think about it a little bit because in a world that works for everyone, how does that work? When we have such little disregard for these beautiful creatures that we allow hunting. And speaking of hunting, do you know hunting exists in state parks, national parks, forest reserve areas, legal or illegal? Poachers are out there constantly. And even though it's illegal, it's like we just turn the eye, it's okay, just do your thing. Doesn't work for me, so I had to bring it up for you. So when I was at this wildlife sanctuary, I was having the understanding that these animals were all rescued and put in areas, widespread areas. There's acres and acres and acres and acres at this wildlife reserve. So they've created spaces that the animals are fed what they're used to being, they're consuming. They're safe, and they don't even breed them on any level because so many of them were overbred. They just want them to live their life safely, healing from trauma they've been exposed to and cared for on a regular basis so they get to live the remainder of their life in some sense of harmony. And in some cases where animals are extinct, and they're extinct because of our desire to just go out there and abuse them, we can do better. We actually, when we do all of this hunting, we actually throw off their hibernation cycles, their migration cycles, and their own way of evolving as a species. I know that we can do better. And I'm not intentionally seeing if I can disturb you, but I want you to feel something about it. Now, here's a cool thing that I just found out. First driver's license I ever had was when I was in California. I have a California driver's license that has not expired. So I moved back to California, give them my driver's license number, which hasn't expired, thinking they're going to charge me a reissue fee and a few other fees, which of course we're good at in California. We want to make sure we get as much money as we possibly can for you re-entering the state. But I hadn't taken a driver's test since I was probably 16. And now they have a new thing. If you re-enter the state of California or move to the state, you're required to take a driver's test, written test again. Well, the little girl behavior within me was like, a test? I'm not prepared for a test. Sheesh, test? And she says, yeah, it's about 25 questions. And I just must have had that look of just frozen panic on my face, because they're not going to reissue my license if I don't pass the test. She says, I can give you the driver's license, the driver manual, and you can review it and come back. Cool, I'm doing that. And I'm looking at some of it, and I thought, well, there must be certain rules that they've incorporated in California that perhaps they don't have in other states. And that's why they want you to study the manual to take the test. There are some really awesome things that we do in California. Now, I know for a fact that if you leave an animal in the car in the summer in the heat, that the police, like you as a citizen, can call or even bust the window to get the animal out, and it's good, you're okay. And the person that has this animal in the car will be fined or jailed for being abusive to their animal, leaving them in the heat, keeping in mind the car is about 10 degrees hotter than outside. I also didn't know, though, that you can be fined up to $1,000 and jail if you abandon an animal out on the freeway, like just dump it. Just dump it and go. And I thought, good, because there's ways that you could release a pet if you don't want it anymore. You don't have to do that. And that you also can get fined if you ride in a truck and you have your precious beloved in the back of the truck, not secured, so that it, while it's traveling, could jump out to do great harm to itself. You must, if you have a truck that you have your baby in the back, keep it leashed, secured, so it cannot jump out. So I was excited about it. I was happy I was reading the manual, because I was thinking, that's a good thing. That makes my heart happy to know that. Because I see different things and I always wonder and worry about it. So I want to ask you to consider a few things this week. We need to always reflect on our belief system. Oftentimes we have beliefs that we're frightened of animals. My grandmother was petrified of dogs. And so when she saw a dog when she was walking down the street, she'd cross the street. She was so frightened of them. So my mother and my aunt learned that when you see a dog, you cross the street. Like, they don't even know why they cross the street, but mother did it, so that's what you do. And my mother was raised totally fearful of dogs because of her mother, which meant we as children couldn't have a dog because mommy was frightened of dogs. Part of the reason that we mistreat or abuse animals is because we don't understand them, or we don't take the time to understand them, or we just don't like them for whatever reason. We don't care for them. So this week I want you to think about some of your opinions about animals, dogs, cats, the slitheries, the flies, even insects. Think about them. Do you kill insects? Do you feel uncomfortable about killing insects? Where did these beliefs come from? And also I want you to think about things like groups of people. Because see, it's all the same thing. If we have a belief system about animals that we don't even know where it came from, but we're still hanging on to it, part of it's our belief about groups of people as well. Or genders, specifically, that we don't connect with. We don't even know why we feel that way, but we started a habit and we just kept doing it. So check in and ask yourself how you feel about some of these things. Where did it come from? Does it still serve you today? Just so that you can continue to evolve yourself and grow. Because we always say in our teaching, what you think about, you bring about. Where you put your attention, you get more of. So as Reverend Carrie had said, she was thinking about where she wanted to live, but she really didn't narrow it down. And now she's narrowing it down so she can dial it in and she can manifest exactly what she wants to have. But the only way we can continue to manifest things we want to have is to pay attention to where our thoughts are about it all, including animals. You know, and if you don't like them, you don't have to do anything with them. Just ignore them. You don't have to harm them. And if you don't like them, inquire as to, was it because maybe as a child you were harmed by one? See where it comes from so that you can continue to be changing your thinking about things and evolving to be the best version of yourself. And that's all I'm ever talking about is what does it take to be the best versions of ourselves. And you out there in the virtual Love Shack land, I want you to do the same thing. I want you to think about some of these things and pay attention to how you react when you think about something. Are you triggered by something? Do you feel some frustration about it? And ask yourself where that came from. Just so we're thinking and we're growing and emerging. And so I bring this to you because we have these monthly themes that are suggested talk titles. And I do my best to spin them in a way that's relatable as opposed to a bunch of data that I could be reading you stats of data, but more about how do we interact and how does it work for us. So this week, remember, life is a mirror and will reflect back to the thinker what he thinks into it. What are you wanting to think about? What are you wanting to put your attention on? What are you wanting to create so that you have a world that works better for everyone and everything? Let us take a moment just to go within. Let's just go within, and if you're comfortable with your eyes closed, or as long as they're at half mast, just so you can take this energy in. And know that if I've spoken in a way that's upset you, that's disturbed you, that's irritated you, ask yourself why and reflect on that a little bit, knowing we're always growing and evolving. That is our purpose in life. Our purpose is to be the very best version of who we came here to be. And are we being that? And can we do better? And what would looking better be like, feel like, act like? So I give thanks for our willingness just to take all of this in, just to sit with it and to see, is our need to be superior such that we create harm to another? Can we go inward and work on our own beingness to feel worthy and valued so that we don't display behavior such as this? I ask you all to reflect on this. I ask you all to be the best versions of yourself every day, continuously evolving, shifting, and asking questions. And I give thanks for your willingness just to show up a little differently today than you did yesterday. Your willingness just to rethink things a little bit and say, how does that work for me now? In fact, does it work for me now? And what would it take for me to make a change to have a different experience? I give thanks knowing as I have spoken these words and I have spoken this prayer, that I let go and know that I release it to the action of the law, which always says yes and creates exactly that which we are open to receiving for the greatest and highest of whom we are. And if any of this prayer resonates to you in any way, or anything I said resonates to you in any way, anchor it with me, please, by saying, and so it is. Thank you. Namaste. And I must go.
Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. this healing day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Thank you for my friends, Spirit, thank you for my friends. Thank you for my friends, Spirit, thank you for my friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. Thank you for my friends, Spirit, thank you for my friends. Thank you for my friends, Spirit, thank you for my friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. Thank you for my health, Spirit, thank you for my health. Thank you for my health, Spirit, thank you for my health. My radiant, my radiant, my radiant health. My radiant, my radiant, my radiant health. Thank you for my life, Spirit, thank you for my life. Thank you for my life, Spirit, thank you for my life. My glorious, my glorious, my glorious life. My glorious, my glorious, my glorious life. Thank you for my wealth, Spirit, thank you for my wealth. Thank you for my wealth, Spirit, thank you for my wealth. My opulent, my opulent, my opulent wealth. My opulent, my opulent, my opulent wealth. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit, thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for this day, Spirit. I want to thank you, I want to thank you. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Every day I say thank you for this day.
All right, thank you for this day. And now it's that time for joyful giving. And I just want to remind you that you can give in numerous ways. You can give through traditional forms of check, cash, credit card. You can tithe online, electronically. You can tithe with your gifts and talents and treasures by volunteering, because every time you volunteer, you are supporting this community in a way that keeps everything working wonderfully. So those are all ways that you can give. And if you'll read with me together our giving affirmation: from God I receive, to God I give, together we share the blessings we live. I am so blessed, I am so grateful.
I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed.
here's that wonderful time where we get our closing song to shake off all the energy. And if you want to stand and sing and dance, let's all gather together to whatever extent you're comfortable or willing. You don't have to if you don't want to. There you go, see?
Take a look at the person next to you. And say, God loves you and I love you too. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together, we come together, we come together, we come together, in the name of God. We come together, we come together, we come together, in the name of God. Now look at the person next to you. Say, I recognize the God in you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Now lift your voice and repeat after me. Oh, we come together, 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 in the name of God. We come together, we come together, we come together, we come together, in the name of God. From every walk of life, every walk of life, every creed and color, every creed and color, intention we unite. In honor of the God in each other. Take a look at the person next to you. Say namaste, I bow to you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. Oh, we come together. 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 In the name of God. We come together. 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 In the name of God. We come together. We come together.
And as we come together, let us just repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening. It's this thing called life. Life is in my mind. Life is in my creative expression. Life is in my pocketbook. And life is how I interact with all the lovely creatures out there in the world besides myself. So we go outside today and make a joyful noise. And in doing so, we bring joy to someone else. Have a blessed week and thank you.